Hello everyone. This is a bit of a weird video. I've not done this in a long time. I think this will be the first time I post maybe to my YouTube or, you know, that's where I'm expected to post this anyway. But hopefully I get this repurposed somewhere else as well into little bits of little chunks of content that some of you might be able to kind of consume. But basically I'm just here to kind of give like a bit of a background story on like where I've been for the past couple of years, what I've been up to, what kind of things I'm doing at the moment. Why should you give a shit? You shouldn't. You don't have to. You could leave, but it's up to you. That's the brutal honesty of it. But I thought maybe if you were interested in sort of who I am, my story. You're looking back at this after I've made a bunch of videos, I don't know. But basically, just to put it bluntly, my name's Daniel Harper. I'm currently 21. I expect to be 22 in 9 days, October the 20th. And I have, in more recent years, been somewhat lost, let's just say that. And kind of more recently, in the past couple of days, the past couple of weeks, I've started figuring shit out, basically, sort of to do with my purpose and all of this. But just to give you a quick rundown of where I've been, what I've been up to put it like that, I'm not very good at the speech thing at the moment. I like to go on tangents and waffle a little bit. You might be able to kind of relate to me on that one, but something I'm very passionate about is just speaking, waffling. But yes, to get back to the point, I have been in some different kind of situations since leaving school back in 2018, I believe it was. I finished my GCSEs and all that, went to college, did my first year. I was supposed to go into a business course, a level 3 business course, dropped out of that as soon as I knew there was hard work involved, and went into public services for a year. Kind of shit, but I had to do something. I felt like that was the best thing to do at that time. I did a year of that, only scraping passes and whatnot, just to literally get the grade and then see you later. But I had to redo my maths as well, actually. So that's a good point to mention. Don't fucking fail your GCSEs and have to retake it. Honestly, not worth the time or stress. But yeah, I did public services, and during that course I was kind of like, what am I going to do? No fucking clue. And decided I was going to join the military, and that's when I started moving things along. I left college. It was Loughborough College at the time. Very good for sports and all of that. You probably know it if you're from the UK and you're looking into higher education or like uni and whatnot. But basically, I decided I was going to go and become a mechanic in the British Army. No idea why, but at the time it felt right. And that was all I was doing. Ended up finishing the year, enrolling and all of that. And basically I spent a whole year kind of fucking about until I got that position and did basic training. And I got into basic training, and within a week, couple days of that, I ended up getting medically deferred and leaving. And if I'm brutally honest with myself, I didn't really want to be there in the end. That's it, really. I didn't want to be there. I pulled a couple of strings and whatnot, and was having issues anyway physically because I hadn't prepared for it. I really didn't want to be there. The only reason I decided to go was because I thought it was going to teach me something that, I thought at that age was very important, and I still do. And that skill, I believe, is self-discipline. It was something I thought could be, let's say, like built into you by other people, instilled through like hardships and sort of that kind of environment. And while I do think that's a fact, I think you can definitely develop it in that way, but I think it's the wrong way of going about it. Especially if you want to joining the military, it's not something you do to kind of benefit from. I think you need to be a type of person to join the military. I think the type of person to join the military is someone that's kind of selfless and has a reason to defend the country and whatnot. And I'd say I would, generally. Don't want to, but you know, if His Majesty was calling, I guess I just have to do it and fight for my country and whatnot. But I have the liberty at the moment to say I don't want that. So I joined, was having these back issues because when I was younger I used to ride a stunt scooter and whatnot, and I fucked it up just from trying backflips and stuff. But yeah, I didn't train properly, didn't give it enough strengthening and whatnot, and my mental health was just not there for it. Because a few weeks before actually getting to basic training, I started shitting myself, and I was like, oh my god, I've actually got to potentially kill people and all this and that, and I was not ready for it. I was sold the dream of I could go and do sports in the army and whatnot, and kind of get the qualification and job out of it and pass all my driving for free and stuff. And I went in with that kind of naive vision, and I think that's a rolling theme, if I'm completely honest. I've been a very naive young man for a lot of my life. I'm sure a lot of you can relate if you've watched all the way through to the 6 minutes, but you know, being young and naive, it kind of comes with the territory, and I think that's where I kind of have delved into this new kind of purpose of mine and sort of interest of mine, of which I can just kind of count as masculinity in a way, and becoming a leader of sorts, and someone who speaks about these kinds of things and whatever. But yeah, to get back to that little story that I had going on. Yeah, left the army, came home back to the village, you know, where I'm from. Well, not really from, but grew up in, and yeah, depression basically. Just put it bluntly, I was so insecure and sad and whatnot. I had no fucking clue what to do with my life. At the time I was having issues with my first ever girlfriend as well, so you know, I had all this pressure on that. Ended up splitting not long after that, I believe, and I think COVID hit around that time as well, so it was fuck, really just stuck at how old was I? Maybe 18, something like that. Yeah, just absolutely stuck, didn't know what to fucking do. And COVID hit, and I just decided, you know what, I'm pulling myself out of this shit. I don't want to feel like this anymore, you know, sad because I don't have any purpose or direction, and just upset because I've not got a girlfriend anymore. You know, first girlfriend, first breakup, all of that, it can be quite upsetting. Depends on what kind of person you are, but I found that. And I decided to go down that path of self-development, and more recently I looked back at my journals that I started writing back then, and I can kind of pinpoint it. I think it was March 2020-ish, I don't know, somewhere before that. But yeah, it was a big time in my life. COVID was really important for me, I think, and it kind of opened my mind up to the whole self-development, self-help type of stuff, because I started reading, started listening to all these influencers and, you know, strongman, whatever, masculine people. Jocko Willink was a big inspiration, Ant Middleton was, Tim Ferriss was, all of these kinds of kind of gurus, let's say. And they really helped at that time to push me into some kind of just finding a path. COVID obviously was happening. And as soon as jobs were yeah, it's a bit easier now, you can get a job and whatever, I managed to find myself a factory job, in a warehouse. Excuse me. And that warehouse job, awful. It was just standing up for 8 hours a day, just packing the same shit for hours. No fucking life. Honestly, it's so boring. Don't do it. If you're young, you've got time on your hands, fuck it, why not get some cash behind you? Then you can save it to go and, you know, spend 6 months trying to build a business or something. But I think one good lesson I got out of that was, wow, there was these old people there, overachieving. They were we had hourly targets and they were trying to smash through them, basically. They had to do it. Don't know why, because I was just not bothered about it. Didn't want to be there, I just was there for the money and something to do. And seeing that kind of then was a kick in the teeth in a way, because it was bro, I have nothing behind me. This is going to be my life if I just stick with this. And on a whim, luckily, September-ish time in 2020. I actually contacted Loughborough College and found another course I could get onto. And at that time, I was very big and passionate on like kind of PTing, so personal training and exercise and whatnot. Still quite a big part of my life at the moment, but I'm nowhere near like interested as I used to be. I don't want to be a coach, nothing like that, no training, whatever. I just like doing the workouts and stuff and having the knowledge of it. But I ended up going on to a sports coaching and development level 3 course in 2020 as the oldest person in the class, like at 19. Yeah, I was 19 going on to 20. And everybody else was kind of like that age, 16, 17, 18, whatever. Still naive and stuff, so it taught me a lot back then as well, like being in a classroom again with all these younger people, and just kind of smashing through these targets that we had. And I ended up finishing that actually last September with the top grades, which is something I just had to prove to myself, you know, like if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it properly. I didn't miss a deadline and I didn't get anything less than a distinction on everything. So I got a D star, D star, D star. Not that I give a shit, because I don't, honestly. Like, these certificates and all that don't mean shit to me, if I'm honest, because I can go to a job interview and sell myself. Like, I know what I'm worth, if I'm honest. And I think most young people need to start kind of believing in themselves a little bit more. Not to get all wisdomy and all that right now. That'll come, you know. I'm going to give advice. I'm very known for unsolicited advice, but I'm sure the right people will find it and it'll help them out at some point. But going back to my story, yeah, I passed it all, and naturally during that time at college, I was like, what am I going to do next? Like, you know, what's the next pathway? Everyone was telling me uni, because that's where my friends went and that's what my family knew and stuff. Like, none of my family have gone to uni except for a couple cousins over on my dad's side, but like my mum didn't, my dad didn't. I'm the oldest out of my siblings, so it was very much like a big thing, and I was going to go. And I decided after like looking into what my interests and passions and stuff were, that media and communication is something I'm very passionate about. And that took a long time to find out. Like I mean, I was researching for hours on like what makes me happy, basically, like what am I interested in? And I feel like a lot of young people have that kind of question to themselves of like, you know, when you ask them, what do you want to be when you're older? Like, it's a load of bullshit. Like, how are you supposed to know that at a young age? Unless you did some like real soul searching or digging into like what really made you tick, or you were like one of my friends that just knew instantly that you wanted to be a builder or something. Like, crazy, you know? Like, I don't know. I can't relate. It took me ages. I'm sure a couple of you might be able to relate to that, but I found that just through constant researching and whatnot, like going on UCAS, going on forums and all this, like trying to find out what I could about media and communications, because something that's always been a massive thing to me is pop culture. Like, I love anything superhero related, so Marvel and DC. I love anime and manga. I love comic books. I love movies, TV, whatever, like all of that. Plus, I love business. Like, I'm naturally always had an interest in business and marketing, for example, and sales a little bit as well. But I never really pursued it when I was a child and a teen and whatnot. So I thought, fuck it, like I'm gonna look at that. That's what I'm gonna go into. And I applied to 5 universities to go and do basically media and communications. My top 3 choices were Manchester Met, Goldsmiths in London, and UCL, which is Uni College London, I believe. And I also had like Coventry and BCU. BCU was actually going to be my top one because I thought that was the most likely for me to go to, because going to London and living off of, you know, student loan, probably not possible, but with the right mental attitude, probably. BCU was like the one I was probably going to go to because it was quite close and affordable. And I ended up getting all of the offers through, unconditional. Only went to BCU and Coventry's open days, and on a whim, after like kind of doing the same thing I did with the army, where not long before the process of like finishing and stuff or getting ready to start, I questioned it. I was like, do I even really want to do this? Like, why do I want to get in all this debt to get a piece of paper again and like be in a place that I'm still in, if that makes sense. And I decided, you know what, I'm gonna look at other pathways. And I'd already been following all of these people like Iman Gadzi and or Gadji, sorry, and Gary V, massive influence in my life, I can't lie, and all these other kind of gurus and influencers and whatnot. And I think I was watching Gary Vee at one point, and he was like, you don't have to go to uni, you know, you can do like these other options and stuff, like you can just apply for these roles. So I started looking for roles in marketing, and I started going down the route of apprenticeships. Now this is something that's kind of only new, like, you know, when you normally think apprenticeship, you probably think of like bricklaying or, you know, office type PA job or admin jobs or mechanics or carpentry, etc. All of these types of, you know, labor driven roles are what you'd anticipate with apprenticeships, and you'd also anticipate no fucking pay whatsoever and kind of just being taken the piss out of to get some sort of qualification, usually like a level 3 or whatever. And I knew you could do degree apprenticeships, so I was interested in that. But ultimately, I handed in my withdrawal, or I withdrew from all of my 5 options. I even recorded on my Snapchat when I used to have it, because I was like so happy about that. I was like, it's an ego boost, but you know, I don't even use Snapchat now, so I don't really give a shit. But I went down the apprenticeship route, ended up finding a bunch of these platforms and whatnot. Didn't sign up to a load of them because I thought, you know, London-based apprenticeships, oh my god, they have ones at Barclays or ones for Google and all these brands that you know about. And I was like, damn, these are fucking sick. Like, could I live in London? Probably not. Not on the money they were charging and whatever. So I ended up just having to carry on working. And something I chose to do while being at college was, you know, carry on having my jobs. I worked at a COVID centre for a lot of my college time, and I worked at JD for a little bit. And I ended up then getting a job at a local kind of camping store, camping equipment reseller. We'll give them that kind of term, in one of the villages near me. And I basically just called him because one of my friends worked for him, and I was like, are you hiring at the moment, basically? And I'm interested in marketing and stuff, so is there any way we can work something out? And he gave me that opportunity to kind of test out marketing, as I'd say. I look back, it was like honestly fucking nothing. I was just running the Facebook page for him and, you know, posting organic kind of posts and creating little memes and shit like that, to basically try and increase sales. And I remember now, I look back, because this was for 2021, I think. Was it 2022? Don't know, but I think it was last year's Download Festival. Yeah, so 2022, I believe it was. He was basically setting up tent hires, and I was responsible for basically promoting on Facebook and stuff. So I literally used like guerrilla tactics, basically. Like, now I know about it, it's just literally jumping into communities on Facebook, link to download, and just posting and talking to people, like basically using socially. Like, no, you don't do that normally now in like paid social and whatnot, in agencies and stuff. But like, I went into that just expecting to just make good things to try and get an increase in like money and whatever. Ended up making an extra like 250 quid 1 month, because I managed to sell out, hit the rest of his like 10 hire options that he had, so it was like another 50 people. Defo could have made a lot more money out of that, because I think he was selling 10 hires at like 50 quid minimum, or maybe £100. So yeah, only a little bit, but it helped me with the opportunity, because that I could put on my CV and my personal statement and stuff. And I started applying for apprenticeships around Leicester, because that's where I lived at the time with my mum still. And honestly, they're all fucking awful. Like, I was driving at the time, and was visiting these different places, and I was like kind of giving up on the thing. I was like, this is not good. I'm not, you know, before I withdrew, this before I withdrew the applications for uni, but like, they just weren't good, and I was kind of just being naive again, and kind of gonna get taken the piss out of in a way. There was one that was not that bad, that wasn't too far and I could drive to, but they wanted me to specifically work on content, which I now know is like literally making blogs and whatnot. Lots of writing, not really my thing, even though now I'm an SEO, which I'll get into in a minute. But I think just on a whim one day I decided, you know what, I'm going to finish off that application profile I had on this platform called Multiverse. Now, Multiverse, I owe like a lot to now. Like, I take my hat off to them. They've been amazing past year. Like, what I've been doing the past year is being on a digital marketing level 3 apprenticeship with Multiverse, and I'm actually due to start my end point assessment next Wednesday, which is only a week from now. So that's pretty fucking sick, if I'm honest. But I finished my kind of video application on there, and instantly a week later or a couple of days later I got headhunted by this guy. I think his name was Miguel, and he called me. I was in Tesco at the time, like I don't know what I was doing. I think I was just shopping or whatever, or with some friends, and I got a random call, answered it, and I was told, "Hi, this is Dan, like I've just seen your profile, there's this opportunity that's come up in Birmingham, and we think you'd be a really good fit. Would you like me to apply for it for you?" And I was just like, yeah, sure, like why not? Sounds great opportunity. Can you send me the details? I'll check it out later. And at this time, I was looking for an apprenticeship, right, that could teach me digital marketing. So just as a whole, like what does it mean? Like what does it include and stuff? And also kind of help me specialize in something specific. And lo and behold, because I think some sort of law of attraction thing happened, where I just was thinking about it so fucking much that I just manifested it in a way. Like this call happened, put it down, felt good about it, went home later, found out the details, and I was like, whoa, that is like what I was looking for. So, you know, I put everything into that application, if I'm completely honest. It's kind of mad because I talk to the boys now who are some of the other apprentices, and like everybody else had the same kind of outset opinion on it, like thinking it was going to be like this creative thing where you make TikToks and Instagram reels and all this shit, but that's not marketing. It is, but it isn't. I can get into another video about all of these different things, but generally I went through the whole process and smashed it, I think, and was able to choose sort of like the teams I was interested in being a part of. I don't think there's going to be that many opportunities ever like the ones that the And Academy's provided me with, which is ultimately the kind of sub apprenticeship scheme group that my company M6 and Partners created. Basically, like I have been able to have some amazing opportunities the past year. Like this apprenticeship allowed me to move out of my mum's house into Birmingham. You know, I say Birmingham, but like some people think shithole, whatever. But you know, being able to move away, rent out like a room and in a house share on your own, like, is just freeing in a way. And being able to join a cohort of another 19, 20 other young individuals who are trying to pursue similar things to you is just like, wow, like where else are you going to get that? And Multiverse is like amazing. Like they offer lots of individual things as part of the experience of Multiverse, where you get like a community hub, for example, where you can attend random like networking events in the city or in London or Manchester, wherever they have apprenticeships and stuff like that. And you can like just get into the corporate world at a young age without needing a degree, you know, ultimately, which a lot of these agencies and stuff like that, like corporate things, need you to have or want you to have. It's desirable. I don't have a degree, don't need it, you know. I'm about to get another level 3 through this, but I wouldn't be tooting my own horn here because I feel like a lot of people would agree, and I've been told it a lot of times. I'm basically kind of regarded as one of the top apprentices, and I've smashed through everything, like passed everything kind of first go, and been able to grab a load of opportunities this year, especially to do with like going to conferences, traveling up and down the UK to all these different things, becoming what they call ITV VIP. It's this program that ITV run, not like literally a TV show, but like a learning program where I get to learn a lot about the TV kind of side of marketing, so reservations and whatnot. I can make another video on that, but it's very cool. Like a couple weeks back, I went to the Emmerdale set in Leeds. Like, the fuck, who would have thought? But yeah, like the past year I've been an apprentice in the SEO team at M6 and Partners, so I've learned a lot about organic marketing, and I now know a lot about paid social, paid search, programmatic, Amazon e-com, etc. Like, I know this all generally because I've been in the agency, and I'd say it excelled, because even outside of work, I've been kind of taking on little jobs here and there, trying to build my own kind of personal brand and sort of my reputation. I've taken on some little tasks with local businesses and friends, where I've helped them with paid ads and stuff, and like managed to get them a bunch of new leads and stuff like that. Yeah, I've like managed to build a little bit of a following on LinkedIn, so you know, I'll plug that. Just look for me, Dan Harper. Probably the same as my Instagram or this YouTube channel, but yeah, I'm not going to link it on nothing like that. But if you're interested in more of like the apprenticeship side of stuff, then definitely kind of leave that comment and ask the questions and whatnot. But I can answer a lot of them, I think. So I don't know where else really to go with the story, because that's kind of it. We're really kind of caught up at the moment. I'm definitely going to do a bit more of a breakdown of multiverse and sort of the apprenticeships and how I like all these different facets of it. But I just wanted to kind of set the foundations now for like my own story and like who I am, so you kind of see that from here, because this is only the 11th of October 2023. You know, this has been years in the making. I finally feel a bit more like I'm at a stage where I can kind of do some good and actually be okay with posting more content and just not really giving a shit if it's not getting views, likes, whatever, but doing it for myself or for that younger me that's struggling. Because ultimately I just want to show that, you know, you don't need to go the traditional route. You don't need to do what your mum and dad think. You don't need to do what your friends think. You don't need to do what the careers person said, because oh my god, don't get me fucking started. Like, careers advisors, honestly, I don't know what they get paid for. They're fucking awful. Like, they don't know what they're talking about most of the time. But you know, it is what it is. I think there's an issue there that probably needs to be dealt with by the government or these private places. I'm sure there's some good advisors out there, but I didn't have any. So that's all I'm saying. And if you kind of relate to my story at all, or me and what I've said, then, you know, I'd be happy to talk. But anyway, I think I'm going to end it there. This has been a very long video. I hope this gets cut up a little bit and I can put it on TikTok or Insta or whatever, but we'll see. Anyway, yeah, that's it from Dan, and I will see you guys in the next one. See you later.